Many consultants get into the situation at times in their career where they need consulting clients fast. And this may come about because of just the pipeline drying up, or you've just been so focused on delivering your services to your clients so that you've neglected your marketing. Um, Typically, that's what happens at a point where there's a need for new clients and you want them quickly. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to get consulting clients fast. Now, the reality is that if you're in that situation, you're in the danger zone, because the need to get consulting clients quickly actually puts you in a position where the neediness that you have in that situation creates an environment or an atmosphere where you're likely to be chasing clients, chasing opportunities. You're looking to win a client almost at any cost. So you are at a severe disadvantage in that situation because your client that you want to attract has the power in the negotiation setting. So we don't want to be in a situation where we need clients quickly, but when we are, we want to do it the right way. So here's the proposition today, is to talk about how you can get consulting clients quickly, but ideally how you get them in the right way so that you're attracting the right clients, not just any client who's going to be problematic, but how to get the right clients to come to be seeking your services in a way that helps you engage with them and have a constructive relationship. So if any of this is resonating with you and you're in a position where you need clients quickly, but you want the right clients, not just any old client, hit the like button to let me know that I'm getting through to the right people, or put a comment in below, say right clients, to know that I'm getting attracting the right people for this message. And if you want to get started quickly on attracting the right clients for your business, check the description below where I've got some links to some specific training that is relevant to you in how to get clients more consistently and more predictably into your consultancy practice. The reality is that desperation leads to pressure. When you're desperate to get a new client, you are going to create pressure both on yourself and ultimately on your client. Now, it becomes a real issue when you're in a sales situation and you're desperate to get a client, because the transference of that emotion that is within that setting will come across to the client, and they often will see your neediness, which creates resistance and skepticism in the fact that they sense that you are feeling a need to have them as a client, and they will wonder why. And it may not be even a logical thought, but it's this level of emotional transference that exists. And whether it's a sales situation or any personal relationship situation. And I'm going to talk about that more as we go through this situation, because it's so relevant in a sales setting. But really, I think this is where most consultants get it wrong in terms of sales and marketing, in terms of the way we want to attract clients, or the way that we try to acquire clients, is that we often want clients quickly. The way that I see most consultants do marketing really creates no space for developing a relationship. And I think that is the most critical part of the difference between people buying consultancy services and then buying other types of products, is that a product is very much often an impulse, even a considered impulse buying situation, but it's very much transactional. It's about the product. Whereas with consultancy services, it's not so much about the service, it's about the relationship. People buy you before they buy your service. People need to know that they can trust you. People want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And that process needs to be developed. People don't trust you unless there's a process involved of building trust. Now, when we pick up clients through referrals, there's an inherent level of trust that is transferred from the referrer. The client comes to you being able to trust you because you've done good work for someone else, or someone else knows of you by reputation, and so they are willing to trust you. But when you are in a position of having to generate your own leads through your marketing or through your networking or however those leads come to you, that level of trust is not established at the start. Therefore, it's very challenging to attract the right sort of clients to you without any trust. And if you get into a sales situation without that trust developed, it becomes very difficult, and you've got to do a lot of heavy lifting in that sales conversation to actually win a client. And coming back to my point, is the process that most consultants go through to attract clients is, here's what we do, here's how to get it, give us a call. And it becomes very much about quickly wanting your clients to get on a phone call or have a sales meeting with you before you've had the chance to develop trust in that relationship. So my recommendation is that the fastest way to get a client is not to go the quick route, not to try to make it fast, but to actually take the time to develop the relationship in the right way. It's a bit like the old tale of the tortoise and the hare. Slow and steady wins the race. So if you're trying to go quickly to get to a point, you're going to run into dead ends, you're going to hit obstacles and roadblocks, and you're going to force the potential client to jump through hoops that maybe they're not ready for. And that means that you're going to waste a lot of time in trying to develop opportunities or trying to create opportunities for sales that actually set you back, and in reality makes it take longer to win a client than by taking the slow and steady route. Now, let me illustrate that with personal experience. When I first started when I started my first consultancy practice after coming out of work in a previous consultancy firm, I had no opportunity to get referrals, and I couldn't wait around for people to give me referrals. So the only thing I really knew how to do at that time is, being back in the days when people answered their telephones if you rang them, I got on the phone and started cold calling people that I'd selected in my target market, and did the typical cold calling approach of, this is what I've got to offer. Would I be able to come around and talk to you about that? And I remember the exact number of calls I made before I gave up without any result at all. 84 phone calls later, I was sitting there scratching my head and thinking there's got to be a better way. So what I was trying to do in that situation is rush people into a sales situation that they weren't ready for. And what I learnt through the research I did from that point on was that I needed to establish credibility. I needed to establish trust before people were even willing to start a relationship with me. And that meant I had to take more steps before I could ask someone to sit alongside me or across a desk from me in a sales meeting. Now, if you think about it, what I'm talking about here is very similar to any personal relationship building, and particularly a romantic type of relationship. If you try to rush that scenario, it feels awkward, it feels unnatural, and often trying to put on too much pressure at the beginning of a relationship to get a date or to go further than the other party is willing to go at that stage, because they don't know you and therefore they don't trust you. You've got to take things slowly. So the first step is to enter the conversation with someone. When you meet them, you don't just rush in and say, oh, let's go to a movie or let's go to a restaurant, or that's first some chit chat, a bit of rapport building. Now, that's the same in a sales situation where, first of all, before you even ask someone to meet with you in a sales situation, you need to be asking about them. You need to be concerned about them. And if you're think about this again in terms of personal relationship, if someone meets you and they start to tell you how great they are and all the good things about them, they actually it feels pretty awkward and not a situation that you really feel encouraged to continue the relationship. But so many sales or marketing, networking conversations that have started off that way have been very short-lived in terms of the development of that relationship. And you learn pretty quickly in a networking situation to ask questions about the other person and the other person that's involved, that you're getting to know, meeting at an event or wherever it is. So think about this process in terms of how do we get clients quickly, and that means we shouldn't rush to tell them how great we are and all the great things we can do for them. We need to first of all show interest in them, and we need to find a way to enter that conversation where it's not awkward, but we can develop a relationship and help someone feel that that relationship was positive, or that conversation was positive, and then ideally they want to take the next step. Just like, a courtship, romantic relationship development process. So think about it in terms of, how do you want to build a relationship with a potential client? We don't want to push them into a situation where they're not comfortable. We don't want to make them uncomfortable, and we don't want to create resistance, because that's what happens. If we put pressure and they start to feel uncomfortable, they will start to resist us. We need to find a different way. And the first thing we need to do is add value that's relevant to that client. We need to find a way of, first of all, getting their attention in a way that's relevant to them, in a way that they actually want to engage at the start of a relationship, to at least start things moving, and get to a point where there's a level of connection that is starting to develop, so that gradually and naturally the relationship can develop, so that there's relevancy, there's connection, And ultimately, the next step is creating trust. Now, we need to build that relationship step by step and ideally systematically in our marketing process so that we know what it is our ideal clients, our specific target market is really looking for in terms of what problems they have and how to solve those problems. So ultimately, we want to talk about the value we have to them. But if we rush into that, it's like us meeting someone and telling them how great we are. It's like too soon. Don't, no, I don't want to know all about you. We need to be asking them what their concerns are, what their situation is, what are their goals, what are their challenges, what's stopping them from achieving what they want to achieve. When we can talk to people in that much more natural way, they start to feel much more of an affinity with us and want to take it to the next step. So how do we do this quickly in building relationships with potential clients? And there are certain platforms that almost facilitate this process if you do it correctly. And I'm going to recommend the fastest way to get clients is in a professional situation where it's a B2B service and you're looking for clients that run businesses or operate businesses or manage departments in businesses or whatever situation you're involved in as a consultant, is that, in my experience, LinkedIn has been the platform that I've been able to build clients' relationships quickly and have paying clients coming through in the quickest manner known. And when I first started my business, it was using the telephone to make those connections, and I learned not to ask for the sales appointment too quickly, but first of all, to offer something of value. These days, people don't answer their phone like they used to do. So I don't recommend telemarketing anymore as a means of quickly attracting the right sort of clients. But LinkedIn offers the same opportunity to go through the same sort of steps, but just using different mechanisms. So LinkedIn gives you the ability to connect with your ideal clients. But the first thing you want to do, just like in building any relationship, before you even go out to the market, before you go to the event, before you go to the party, before you go to the pub, whatever, you've got to get working on yourself. You've got to clean yourself up. You've got to start to make yourself look attractive. You're not going to attract anyone if you go in scruffily and untidily and dirty and smelly and in a way that you put people off. Now, your LinkedIn profile has to be that attraction mechanism or attraction tool that you need to spruce up. You need to make yourself look attractive through your LinkedIn profile. So you've got to have a professional looking photograph that makes you look appealing or interesting and not someone that people are going to be afraid of approaching. You've got to have the right words or right descriptions of who you are and what you do on your LinkedIn profile. And again, here, surprisingly, because your LinkedIn profile is all about you, you need to make it more about your client than it is about you. They don't want to hear you raving about how great you are on your LinkedIn profile. They want to know that you understand them primarily. So your content on your LinkedIn profiles needs to show that you understand them. You understand their situation. You understand the challenges that they're going through so that it's relevant to them, so that you can connect with them on an emotional level, so that you can build trust before you even get into a situation where you can ask for a sales meeting. So having ways to develop trust through content, through whether that's video content or written content. And what I would recommend is to have one core piece of content that you can direct people to that is specific to their biggest problem. Your ideal client, you need to be very clear about who your ideal clients are primarily. You can't just think that I need any client. You need to be really specific so that the ideal client knows that you're talking to them and that you understand them. So two things. And again, just like personal relationships, you've got to tidy yourself up and look attractive. But then when you go out to the market, you've got to know who it is you're looking for. What are the qualities of the person that your ideal business client partner, or in a personal situation, who would be the person that you find most appealing? When you decide who that is, they're much easier to find. You don't have to wade through different opportunities and cross them off. No, wrong. You can look at who it is exactly that you're looking for and know where to find them. Where do they hang out? What organizations are they in? What groups are they in? And on LinkedIn, where are they? What's their industry? What's their profession? You can track them down. You can make connections with them. And when you make a connection, you don't want to, again, have that, here's what we do, how can we get on a call? That's the biggest put off, particularly on LinkedIn, to have a sales message coming through quickly after making a connection. No, again, here you need to be able to connect personally, build rapport before you offer your services, or even before you talk about what you do and invite someone to a sales meeting. But there's a process you can go through, again, just making it natural and building relationship, building trust before you offer any services to that person. So the quickest way to get clients is not by trying to make it fast. It's by taking the slow, steady process. Now, when you take that slow, steady process, the funny thing is that often it happens very quickly. And when I've done these things on LinkedIn, when I've made sure my profile looks right, when I targeted the right person, when I connect with them, often I have that person coming back to me saying, I think we should get on a call. You look like the sort of person we need. And I've picked up clients very quickly within a week of connecting with them, having an initial conversation, and then they sign up as a client. That is the fastest way to get clients. Now, that is probably an unusual scenario. You don't want to always be in the position where you need clients quickly. However, you can translate that process that I've just talked about into a systematic approach. And I'll talk much more about that in the next video that we'll be putting together here, talking about the strategic authority marketing system that builds on that quick approach to getting clients, but makes it systematic and relieves the pressure from the whole situation. And again, particularly, it relieves the pressure on you, because when you've got clients and sales opportunities coming through consistently and predictably, you don't feel the urgency or the pressure to have to make a sale. In fact, you have much more choice about who you take on as a client. So look down in the notes below, or up here, there's a link to the next video in the series of how to get clients consistently and predictably through strategic authority marketing. Make sure that you take a look at that, but also check out the training that we've got listed below here if you want to jump quicker into the process. And we offer you some free training and some low-paid training events that you can get started on straight away to accelerate your ability to get clients quickly.